It's a wacko world, and Justin Trudeau thinks that he runs the show, but we just seen that that's actually not the case. Greg Fergus is at risk. The House Speaker of Canada Parliament is at risk of being fired, and we're going to take a look at what's happened. Just a quick summary of yesterday and what has happened today. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. We're just a bunch of wackos here on this channel, and we're almost at 400,000 wackos, so I really appreciate your guys' help to get there sooner than later. We got a lot to cover in this video, so I really recommend that you guys stick around for the full thing, because boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is history in the making, unraveling right in front of our eyes. I love when shit like this happens. All right, calm down, take a breath, take a breath. Here we go. You got the polls. You have the polls. Now, if you're a frequent flyer of this channel, frequent wacko, you'll remember that the polls, the Conservatives were sitting at 207 projected seats, and they only need 172. What did I say, folks? What did I say? I said that the closer we get to the summer break, the more you're going to see this climb to 220. Already, we've gone up 4 points in just 24 hours since wackiness happened in the House of Commons. And I think that tomorrow, maybe, or even this week, you're going to see that number go up a little bit more. And we look at the odds of the outcome. They've gone up. The Conservatives have gone up. They solidified the lead by another percent. They were at 98% for a majority government. They're back up to wacko 99 and 99% of winning the most seats. Everything is looking copacetic. Except this guy, Justin Trudeau. Yesterday, when he left the House of Commons, this is what he had to say. Poor little wacko Justin.
Minister, what Mr. Poilievre says, when he's elected, he will have won the right to decide when constitutional rights should be overridden. What do you think, please, sir?
Pierre Poilievre just proposed to override the fundamental freedoms and protections of Canadians. Override the charter that is there to protect women, minorities, to us LGBTQI+ communities. That's not right, and it's not responsible. On top of that, he's spending time with far-right nationalist groups, refusing to condemn them or garbage conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones because he wants their votes.
All right, so I've covered this already earlier this morning on my additional channel called Mr. Sunshine Extra. But Mr. Sunshine Baby has a bigger platform and a bigger reach, so I just want to go over a couple of the same breadcrumbs. So I hate that there's overlapping content. I really, really do. But it's important that as many people are aware of this as possible. Trudeau's throwing a tantrum. Trudeau, like, why even mention 2S LGBTQI+ identifying people? It doesn't make any sense. It was a comment about being wacko that was dropped and is having immense repercussions because you're seeing an abuse of power. And the best person to explain this isn't necessarily even myself, even though we live streamed it on House of Canada, which is linked down in the description for everyone to see, and it got thousands of views. You have ex-NDP leader Tom Mulcair. I know it's Mulcair, and he's saying that this is actually a massive abuse of power, and he's backed Greg Fergus in the past, and Greg Fergus should be held accountable for his actions. Let's take a look at this.
I simply withdraw, and then he didn't repeat the other words. He says, and I replaced them with what I said before. That was the exit ramp that the leader of the opposition, the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition in the House, is an extraordinarily important institution. Before you get to the point that Greg Fergus got to today, you've got to go through a heck of a lot of other steps. This was not only precipitous, for me it was manifestly, obviously partisan. And I don't come at that lightly. I remember when Greg Fergus got caught making a very partisan video, I was one of the people who defended him. I've been a House leader in Ottawa. I was a deputy House leader both in power and in opposition in Quebec City, where it could be very rough and tumble. But I've never seen anything like this, Vashi. Never in my career have I seen such, in my view, blatant partisanship from a speaker. I think that he's disqualified himself from the position, and I am indeed one of the people who defended him. When people were calling for his head after that video, I said, it's a rookie mistake. Let him prove that he can be autonomous, independent, act, fairly with everyone. Today, he failed completely. And no surprise, of course, the Bloc Québécois was applauding the speaker for going after the Conservatives, as was the NDP. it's in the natural order.
I mean, they're going to use
Overall.
they're going to use absolutely everything they possibly can when they have it, but it's not working out in their favor the way they think they are. And we're just going to gloss over a YouTube short that I made about this. Because it just really compiles everything, because the actual events that happened took place over 5 to 10 minutes. It was spread out, right? It was wild. It was like a proper cage match with words, right? Not to get too nerdy. But when you condense it into a short, it really shows the impact of what happened. Here we go.
But he continues to allow those drugs to kill the people in our hospitals and on our public transit. When will we put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister?
I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to withdraw that term, which is not considered parliamentary.
Speaker, I replace wacko with extremist. He is...
Withdraw that comment.
I'll replace it with radical. No, that's his policy. Speaker, I replace the word wacko with extremist.
I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition one last time.
I simply withdraw and replace with the aforementioned adjective.
Yes! Yes!
Order you to withdraw from the House and from any participation by video conference for the remainder of...
Oh my God! Conservatives all left! The Conservatives all left! The Conservative bench left! Oh my God, they all left! Am I really laughing at an expression from myself 24 hours ago? Yep, I sure am, folks, because it's a wacko world. And to top it all off, now we're going to take a look at what happened today in the House of Commons. Oh my God, things got insane, folks. This is why you subscribe to the channel. This is why you turn on post notifications to this channel, because you don't want to miss updates like this. Here's the clip from today.
Canada's biggest city, gun crime is up 66%. It's 100% nationwide. I just shared the tragic story of someone out on bail slamming his car into an innocent family. Mm-hmm. 2 wonderful grandparents dead. A beautiful baby dead. He was out on bail under the Prime Minister's catch and release C-75. How many more will have to die before he repeals catch and release and brings jail, not bail, for repeat offenders?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will highlight that we worked with provinces, including many provincial Conservative leaders across this country, to bring in bail reform. We'll continue to work on things that are keeping Canadians safe. At the same time, the leader opposite talked about gun crime. Well, we move forward with some of the strongest measures on gun control that this country has ever seen. A freeze on the purchase of handguns, a total ban on assault-style weapons that has been in place for 4 years. These are the kinds of things that the Conservative Party and its leader have consistently stood against, even as we move to make our communities even safer.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He mentioned all these guns that he claims to have banned and promised to seize 4 years and $40 million ago. How many has he seized?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are thousands of different types of assault-style weapons that for the past 4 years have been rendered illegal to sell, illegal to buy, and illegal to use, including at a gun range. Mr. Speaker, we are now working on a program to allow those owners to sell them back to the government for them to be destroyed and get money so they can go buy other guns or other products if they want to that will be legal. This is about fairness, even as we move to keep Canadians safe. Unfortunately, the Leader of the Opposition wants to make those assault weapons legal again.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
All those weapons are still legal, Mr. Speaker. You can still own them. The Prime Minister says he's going to seize them. He's going to buy them. He's spent $40 million doing that. So I'm going to ask again, how many guns has he bought? Just the number.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as the Leader of the Opposition knows, we are in the process of establishing that buyback program. The priority was making sure that those guns were no longer available to buy, to sell, to bequeath, or to use, Mr. Speaker. And that has been the case for 4 years. Now, what the Leader of the Opposition is conveniently refusing to opine on is the fact that he has committed to the gun lobby across this country that he would reverse the 2020 OIC that banned those assault-style weapons. He wants to bring those assault-style weapons back, or he can contradict me right here.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I will contradict him because they're not banned right now. It's perfectly legal for people to possess those guns. They are easy to possess, and not one of them has been. The answer to the question is that he has not seized a single solitary one of them. Mm-hmm. He spent 40 million tax dollars that could have secured our ports and our borders, and he hasn't taken in a single solitary gun. Is that why gun crime has risen by 100% since he became Prime Minister 9 years ago?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I will note, as did everyone in this chamber, that the Leader of the Opposition did not deny that he will be reversing the ban on assault-style weapons. He doesn't even think it exists right now. Well, Mr. Speaker, it does exist right now. It is illegal to buy, sell, or use any of those weapons. When the amnesty ends next year, it will be illegal to own them as well. We're giving an opportunity for people to sell them back to the government. That is what we are doing to keep people safe. That is what he will not commit to keeping.
Great, let's get some wackos in the chat. Let's look alive, folks. So it turns out that everything that happened today in question period was actually a bit of a tactic by the Conservative Party. And I think, now there's no evidence to back this up, but I think that the overlords of Parliament, whomever that is, it's not Justin Trudeau. There's no reason to believe it's Justin Trudeau. He's the Prime Minister, but he doesn't have the say in how the whole show runs within Parliament, right? I think that they really cracked down on what happened yesterday, right? With the whole wacko thing, extremist and radical comments, and then the walkout. And I think that they wanted to show Canadians that, you know, that it's professional and that it's not a joke. Maybe that wasn't everybody across the board, but that certainly was the tactic that the Conservatives brought to the table today, as you saw by kind of monotone answers. It was almost a bit of a depressing vibe, very anticlimactic, but it's a bigger picture strategy. At least that's my optimism. There's no reason or there's no evidence to back that up, because now the Conservatives get to flip the script and look at all the comments that were said about them and show Canadians, such as this Liberal MP right here. And this is shared by the actual Liberal Party of Canada on X. Let's take a look at this.
Do you think what happened today is going to fuel the narrative that he's being silenced by the Liberals?
Who's being silenced?
Pierre.
That guy's never shut his mouth in his life. Who silences him? He keeps saying dumb things. I think it would be good if he shut up. He shut his yap once in a while. But the stuff that he does in the House of Commons is disgraceful. But he plays on that. He's a guy that likes to play outside the lines. When someone steps out the lines to confront him, he freezes.
Do you think what happened to...
Yeah, see, that's not a good look for the Liberal Party to say that, especially after how professional and kind of monotone Pierre was today and, well, the entire Conservative Party. But we've got a couple more clips of things that are happening here in Canada, such as Jagmeet Singh did a press conference where he calls Pierre Poilievre a coward. This is from Government Corrupt on X.
That the Speaker asked the Prime Minister to rephrase his extremist wording toward Poilievre, but then when it came to Poilievre using the word wacko, he was asked to refrain from it. Do you think that's hypocritical from the Speaker and shows bias toward one party over the other?
In terms of the discretion of the Speaker, it's difficult to say what the line is. I think language that is purposely trying to make it individual and attack an individual person in a way that's derogatory, like calling someone a wacko, I think it's a bit different than saying that their beliefs are extremist or what they're doing is catering to extremism. But ultimately, if the Speaker makes a ruling, I think what the response of a parliamentarian should be is you accept the ruling and then you move on. And what we saw from Pierre Poilievre is this is what a bully does. Tries to be a bully, but when confronted, is a coward. and runs away. That's what the Conservatives did. That's what Pierre Poilievre did. I did it very differently. I took my lumps. I moved on. I didn't tell my whole caucus to leave the chamber. We continued to do our job to hold the government to account.
You know, Jagmeet Singh, when you stack him up against Justin Trudeau, I feel like Jagmeet needs to be held more accountable than Justin Trudeau for what they're doing, what each of them are doing to this country. Justin Trudeau was brought into the system from a kid. His father was prime minister. He's been groomed, indoctrinated into this, political, maybe those aren't the right words, maybe they are. I don't know. I'm using them quite loosely. But Justin Trudeau's been brought into this whole world from a wee little lad. Jagmeet Singh chose this. Jagmeet Singh chose to be corrupt. He chose to be a sellout politician. He chose to be an a-hole. He chose to be a wacko. So when you put them up against each other, Jagmeet is almost worse than Justin Trudeau if you really think about it. But what really blows me. What really gets me going is the House Speaker is making these decisions. He's making a mockery of our parliamentary system. He's making a mockery of our democracy. And with what happened yesterday with the whole wacko incident and then the walkout, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about how he walked into Parliament today. That's right. He wore a freaking pirate's hat. He wore a pirate's hat walking into Parliament today. The guy thinks he's Captain Jack Sparrow. I mean, this is absurd. Look at him. There you go. There you go. And this is from the Amazing Zoltan on X. And I posted I'm going to like my own tweet right there. I posted probably the most awesome tweet I've ever done. This is the day you'll always remember as the day you almost caught Captain Greg Fergus. Because it's ridiculous. The mockery of the system that he's making. But I'd like to know what you guys think down below in the comments. We have another clip here of Jagmeet Singh from Government Corrupt on X, where he says that he'll be supporting the Liberal 2024 budget. Jagmeet Singh has not made this statement up until now. This is kind of breaking news.
New Democrats fought for some concrete wins in this budget that are going to make life better for people. We fought to make sure that kids going to school will have a nutritious program in school. We fought to make sure that people have free birth control. It's going to help women save money. We also fought for free diabetes medication and devices. Again, it's going to save money, improve health. And we fought for a protection fund for renters. It's going to keep renters in their home. Because of these things that we fought for, we're going to be supporting the budget. But there's problems that we raised. And I want to be very clear about those problems. I raised those directly with the Prime Minister. I made it very clear to the Prime Minister that I expect the Prime Minister and the Liberal government to fix these problems. When I raised these matters and I expected that resolution, the Prime Minister showed an openness to resolve these concerns. So we are going to make sure we hold the government to account over the next weeks to make sure that these matters are addressed.
But the problem is he says that he's pandering to voters. He's trying to get people on board with this ideology that never actually comes to fruition. Jagmeet Singh is probably the worst politician here in Canada. But I'd like to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Speaking of some of the worst things that are happening here in Canada, we have anti-Israel demonstrators have occupied a section of the University of Ottawa and set up an encampment. This is from Chris Dacey on X. Let's take a look. This is getting out of control, folks. These protests are just, they're plaguing North America.
This is the scene at the University of Ottawa this morning. Much like we've seen recently at U.S. universities, including NYU and Columbia, and also now in Canada at McGill, anti-Israel protesters have occupied a section of a campus and are setting up encampments. There is a campus security presence. Today also happens to be moving day at U Ottawa. I've been told that the increase in security is to coincide with moving day and not as a result of this protest.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. The thing about university campuses is that they're supposed to be a safe place. Not like emotionally, but yeah, sure, safe place, whatever you want to call it. But safe from politics. You go there to learn about book reading stuff. You go there to learn about curriculum, not to spread your political views and make these statements. And I don't know, maybe I'm naive, maybe it's going over my head, but I'm pretty certain that you're not supposed to be doing this at universities. But now we're going to have to wait and see how University of Ottawa replies, because I believe in America at Columbia University, where this happened, they're taking measures to, I think, even evict people, or I guess they're not evicted from school, but ban people, suspend people, right? Remove their privilege of attending that university because of these protests, because they're getting out of hand. But at the University of Columbia, that whole situation, I think they like broke into somewhere. They broke into the university. So it's a little bit different. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about this happening here in Canada. We've seen these anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protests, whatever you want to call them. There's a whole bunch of different things that people are calling them. They're breaking out everywhere in Ottawa. They're occupying the streets in Toronto and Ottawa. They've even blocked the biggest port in Vancouver, or just outside of Vancouver, in Delta on the west coast of Canada. It's getting pretty crazy. And speaking of crazy, we have Bill Blair says that the biggest threat to Canadians is climate change and authoritarians like Putin. It's all Putin's fault. This is from Government Corrupt on X.
War has returned to Europe. Conflict is raging in the Middle East. Tensions are rising in the Indo-Pacific. Authoritarian leaders like Vladimir Putin are openly challenging the international order that has kept us safe and prosperous for nearly 80 years. Strategic competition, new and disruptive technologies, as well as climate change, are driving new threats and uncertainties. For decades, our Arctic security came from its geography. But climate change and emerging technologies are making the region more accessible. Devastating wildfire to rip through the north last summer, and at the same time, the Canadian Arctic is warming at 4 times the global average. We said in our most recent defense policy that we believe that by 2050, the Arctic Ocean could become the most efficient shipping route between Europe and Asia. And that's why Canada is making its largest investment in NORAD modernization in a generation. Through the investment of almost $40 billion that we announced in 2022, we will modernize Canada's contribution to NORAD so that the Canadian Armed Forces can defend our country, our continent, and our people in partnership and in close collaboration with the United States. Our intent is to build several interoperable over-the-horizon radars across our 2 nations to enable our decision makers a clear 363-degree picture of incoming threats. The Prime Minister and I tried to make very clear that defending Canada and Canadians is job number 1 for national defence and for the Canadian Armed Forces. And that includes protecting every inch of Canada's sovereignty, especially in our Arctic and northern regions. And as the changing physical and geopolitical landscape in the region creates new threats and vulnerabilities, I believe that our most important task is to assert and defend Canadian sovereignty in the Arctic and the North.
Love to know what you guys think down below about Bill Blair. He is just, he's past his time, man. It's time for him to step down. In fact, while we're doing a clean sweep, we might as well get rid of pretty much all the Liberals and the NDP and some of the Bloc. There's some MPs of the Bloc that are pretty base. But anyways, I'd like to know what you guys think down below in the comments of this video. Should Greg Fergus pack it in? Should he hang up his Pirates hat? Is it time? We'll have to see as time moves forward. But I look forward to reading the comments when the video is posted. On your way out, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.